Today, I want to share a book with you that I've recommended to many participants in my coaching programs over the years, and it is an excellent resource to strengthen your executive coaching. I believe that the lessons I share with you today are going to help you right away and encourage you to pick up the book for yourself and read it from cover to cover. The book I'm talking about is none other than Executive Coaching with Backbone and Heart, written by Mary Beth O'Neill. This book is quite thick at several hundred pages, and it goes into exhaustive detail about Mary Beth's process working with leaders to help them to take her coaching and turn it into meaningful results for themselves and their teams and their organizations. And we'll get into that in just a little bit. But first, what I believe is important to start with is this statement that Mary Beth shares about the purpose of executive coaching. The essence of executive coaching is helping leaders work through their dilemmas so they can transform their learning directly into results for their organization. Mary Beth really doesn't believe in squishy coaching that has intangible, feel-good results that no one can measure. She believes strongly that your coaching should create measurable results. And if it doesn't, well, then you weren't really providing executive coaching that's worth paying for. We strongly espouse the benefits to you of sponsored coaching. Sponsored coaching is when the organization pays you as the coach to coach a leader within that organization or possibly a team within that organization. They would only do that when they're able to measure tangible results that benefit them, right? Why else would an organization sponsor coaching? So that's why this book can be such a great resource for you. I want to share 3 lessons that I've taken from this book that I think will be meaningful to you. Lesson number 1, help your leader avoid creating triangles that disrupt and drain the creative resources of the organization. What is a triangle? It's when someone who's feeling anxious actually seeks to dispel that anxiety by going to someone else about it rather than talking directly to the source of their anxiety. So what is an example? One leader has a challenge with another leader. Instead of dealing with it head on, they take it to their team and tell their team about the challenges that they're facing with this leader and how difficult they're making it for this team to achieve the results that they want to achieve. So then this team starts to have a negative perception about that leader. And they may also then have a negative perception about that leader's team. So now we have not only the issue that was the original one, the 2 leaders, and the one leader has brought the team into it, but now the teams may have issues with each other that were a secondary triangle created by the first triangle. And then another triangle might be created by other teams wondering, why are we not able to collaborate effectively with these 2 teams? What are the issues that they're having? Or customers may not be getting exactly what they want, which could be a whole nother triangle. So you can see that if you allow triangles to be created by your client rather than identifying them and helping your client to gain the resources, the courage necessary to deal with the source of their anxiety head on, then your coaching is not really helping that client. Now, this probably rings true to you. You may not think of it as triangles as Mary Beth does, but the reality in executive coaching is that we absolutely want to be a sounding board to a client where they can share challenges that they're having, dilemmas that they're facing, and help them to think through it, get grounded, and then what? Create solutions from their generative capacity and create actions that they can then take to deal with that challenge head on, rather than you actually taking the burden upon yourself. That you don't want to do. You don't want to feel more anxious than your client. You don't want to become the source of the solution for your client. And you don't actually want to feel more stressed about it than your client does, right? We never want to take the burden off the client onto ourselves. We want to empower the client to feel capable of dealing with the challenge. If we're able to do that, then we may be able to help our client to actually stop creating triangles altogether so that in the future, better results are achieved by the organization. Okay, so that's lesson number 1. from Executive Coaching with Backbone and Heart. How about lesson number 2? Understand the systems within which your client operates. Mary Beth believes that systemic thinking can support your coaching effectiveness with the client. This is probably something that you're also aware of, that your client doesn't work in an isolated fashion within their organization. They are affected by patterns and systems inside the organization. So if you were able to help your client to identify patterns and then see how they affect them, then they may be able to effectively work within those systems and get things done. So what does this look like in reality? For example, perhaps the organization lacks accountability up, down, and across the organization. This may then enable the acceptance of deadlines regularly being unmet or results not being up to a certain standard, because we don't really hold each other accountable around here and we accept what is. Or perhaps vague communication is an accepted pattern within the organization, because if communication is really clear, then it means that we fully understand and then we're accountable to getting things done, right? So if vague communication happens, well, then we don't need to be that accountable. So is that a pattern within the organization? Can you identify that? And can you help your client to actually realize how they're being affected by that pattern? And you as the coach may also be affected by the pattern if your client resists being really clear and accountable to measurable goals for the engagement, because they're not used to that. That just isn't the pattern within their organization, but you can bring that as the coach and help them to break through and to create new patterns, at least within their own behavior, the way they lead their teams, the way they interact with other people, etc. So helping your client to identify systems and how they may be affecting them and how certain systems may affect you as a coach are important. If the organization lacks accountability, are they looking to you to be the source of accountability and actually help to fix the client, rather than the manager of the client being responsible and accountable for working directly with the client? They're unloading their burden onto you as the coach and hoping that you will then become the source of the accountability and the fix. See how systems and patterns inside an organization can be harmful? Well, in this book, you'll learn more about that and ways to deal with that, and to also notice within yourself if you're being affected. Now let's go to lesson number 3. And that is, when setting goals for the engagement, use Mary Beth's 3 key factors model to do so. One key factor is measurable results for the organization, such as increased engagement, like measurable increased engagement, or measurable increased revenue. We can measure these things. So what are going to be the tangible, measurable results for the organization? What are interpersonal behaviors that your client is going to own? So for example, are they going to start being very clear about their direction and their expectations? Are they going to listen more actively and create a safe space for team members to share ideas and even debate with them? That's a clear, measurable interpersonal behavior that the leader is going to engage in. So that's the second key factor. And then the third key factor is, what is the team going to do differently to affect results? Well, the team may want to start engaging more actively in debating in meetings, arguing about processes, visions, ideas than they have in the past, rather than being really nice to each other, not debating, having hallway conversations. That's the meeting after the meeting. They will actually lean in and have uncomfortable conversations in the moment as a team, bringing real value to team meetings that didn't exist before. If they're able to do that, if the leader is able to create a safe space for that dialogue to happen, then the effect may be an increase in employee engagement. So you can see how the 3 key factors interplay with each other to create something really good for all parties involved. The leader becomes more effective, the team becomes more effective, and measurable results for the organization are the byproduct of the engagement, which is something that the sponsor really appreciates. So keep that in mind as another great reason to read the book and to understand Mary Beth's 3 key factors model. There's so much more in the book. One other little mini lesson I'm going to share with you is this idea of real-time coaching, which is observing your client in action, leading a meeting, having a one-on-one, shadowing them in the organization so you can see them operating in the wild, so to speak. You could learn a lot about a client by moving beyond simply having one-on-one conversations in isolation and always hearing everything firsthand through the client, but never actually seeing them in action and observing what happens in how other people are engaging with your client. So that's kind of a mini 4th lesson from the book that may also encourage you to get it. So once again, the book is Executive Coaching with Backbone and Heart, written by Mary Beth O'Neill, an excellent resource that's available as an audiobook or a physical book through a bookseller near you, the audiobook being on Amazon and physical books being available through a variety of sources. Let me know what you think about these lessons by writing in the comments below. If this video has helped you, please share it with others, comment on it, like it, and subscribe to the channel. And if you'd like to go deeper with me, consider enrolling in the Center for Executive Coaching, where I serve as a faculty member and have since 2019. You can learn with me through online classes held most weeks of the year, in-person seminars held several times a year, and also mentor coaching groups held 4 times a year. So there are a lot of different ways to work with me through the Center for Executive Coaching. Learn more by visiting my blog site, BayAreaExecutiveCoachTraining.com, and look at enrollment options. While there, look at the many resources that I have collected together to help you as a new or aspiring executive coach. Also, follow my company page on LinkedIn, Bay Area Executive Coach, where we share other resources to support you each and every week. Thank you very much.